Joining me now, a key member of the Judiciary Committee, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. We should note, for the second week in a row, we invited all 10 committee Democrats to join us, and for the second week, none of them accepted. And with that, Senator Graham, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
You must be mean.
Well, or they don't want to talk. What's the latest on negotiations over having this hearing? What issues have been settled? What issues are still outstanding? And how close are you to getting fed up with a witness dictating to the committee the terms of her testimony?
Well, Chairman Grassley's bent over backwards to make this happen. The offer is Thursday at 10 o'clock. She made 10 conditions through her lawyer. We accepted 6. We're not going to turn over to the other side how many witnesses to call. There'll be 2 witnesses, Dr. Ford, then Judge Kavanaugh, and we'll hire our own counsel. They contest those 2 things. If they continue to contest those 2 things, they won't be a hearing. If they really want to be heard, they can be heard in a small room with a lot of security, limited press availability. She'll be treated fairly, but we're not going to turn the hearing over to her lawyers, and we'll see. I hope she comes. I will listen if she does.
So are you saying that the committee has basically given her a take it or leave it? These are the conditions. We've bent enough. Here are the conditions. You either accept this or there'll be no hearing?
Well, she made 10 conditions, a request for 10. We gave 6. We're not going to let her determine how many people we call. We're going to call Dr. Ford, then Mr. Kavanaugh, is the way you would do it in any other situation. And we will hire our own lawyers, and that's it. If they can't accept that, that means they really don't want to testify. Judge Kavanaugh is ready to go right now, Monday, Thursday, anytime. And here's what I tell my colleagues. This accusation has to be looked at in terms of our legal system. It's too old for a criminal trial. It's 36 years old. You couldn't bring a civil suit because you can't tell the court what time it happened and where it happened. And if you tried to get a warrant based on this, you couldn't get a warrant because the 3 people named by Dr. Ford as having been at the party outside of Kavanaugh all say they don't know what she's talking about. So you couldn't go to criminal trial. You couldn't sue civilly. You couldn't even get a warrant. But I will listen to what she has to say.
I want to ask you about one of these conditions, or one of the things that you've rejected, the idea that an outside counsel, a woman, will do the questioning for your side. Yeah. Is that pure optics? Is that basically that the 11 men who are on the Republican side of the Judiciary Committee don't want to be seen as being disrespectful or insensitive to a woman who says that she was the victim of sexual abuse?
Well, we got 11 politicians who haven't done a trial in about 20 years. I thought it'd be really smart to have somebody come in and knows what the hell they're doing, to ask the questions, to be respectful. You know, I don't know what Dr. Ford expected us to do with an anonymous letter. If she wanted to stay anonymous, those who betrayed her need to apologize, but she will be treated respectfully, but she will be challenged, just like Judge Kavanaugh. When I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan, I wasn't just a white male Republican. I was some kind of really smart, wonderful person. I know what the game is here. I am no different now than I was then. I may ask questions if I feel a need to, but I think it'd be smart to have a professional litigator do this. Give Ms. Ford, Dr. Ford, a chance to be heard. Give Judge Kavanaugh a chance to be heard. Compare what she says with everything else in the record, and I'll make a decision.
President Trump was pretty restrained on this issue until Friday when he tweeted this. I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed. I ask that she bring those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place. Now, you know, and I know, that Ford has said that she didn't say anything about this to anyone for decades, and that brought, the president's tweet, a sharp response from one of the few undecided key Republican senators, Susan Collins. Take a look.
I was appalled by the president's tweet. We know that allegations of sexual assault are one of the most unreported crimes that exist. So I thought that the president's tweet was completely inappropriate and wrong.
Senator, does the president realize, and frankly, do you realize, that if you're seen, if all of you are seen as not treating this woman sensitively, respectfully, that this nomination could go down?
Well, here's what I do know. I was a prosecutor, defense attorney, and a judge. For every woman that comes forward regarding an allegation like this, God only knows how many never come forward. Also know that sometimes people are accused of things they didn't do. I would advise the president to let us handle this. It is very true that a lot of women get abused and take it to their grave, and every now and then you have a situation where people provide inaccurate information. All I can say about this allegation is too old for a criminal trial. You would never bring a lawsuit because it's uncertain. You couldn't even get a warrant because the people who are supposedly validating what Dr. Ford said all say they weren't there, they don't know what she's talking about. That's the context of this case.
But meanwhile, Senate Democrats, a lot of them women, say that you and your side have already insulted Dr. Ford. Take a look at this.
I consider that to be bullying. I consider that to be disregarding. I consider that to be something set up for failure.
Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up.
Your reaction, Senator?
Well, Senator Scott and myself represent the people of South Carolina. We got elected by men and women of our state. I am not going to shut up, with all due respect. When I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan, nobody on the other side told me to shut up. They told me how fair I was, how good I was. All I would tell my colleagues, I know you hate Trump. I am going to look at this from a prism of being reasonable and fair to Judge Kavanaugh. Everything I know about Judge Kavanaugh goes against this allegation. I want to listen to Dr. Ford. I feel sorry for her. I think she's being used here. People, in my view, are using her. If she truly wanted to be anonymous, the person who brought this accusation to the public owes her an apology. I will do the following. Listen to Dr. Ford, compare that to everything in the record, and make a decision. This accusation is 36 years old. I don't know when it happened. I don't know where it happened. And all the people who have been named say it didn't happen. So these two senators have an agenda that's related to their hatred for President Trump. I'm trying to be fair here and get this thing done in a reasonable way to Judge Kavanaugh as well as Dr. Ford.
Senator, I'm sure that some of the people listening to you would say, you know, you've several times now you've talked about how weaker cases, how long ago it was, the lack of details, the lack of any corroborating evidence. Do you have an open mind on this? And is there anything that Dr. Ford could say that would persuade you to vote against Kavanaugh's nomination? Honestly.
I want to listen to her, but I'm being honest with you and everybody else. What do you expect me to do? You can't bring it in a criminal court. You would never sue civilly. You couldn't even get a warrant. What am I supposed to do? Go ahead and ruin this guy's life based on an accusation. I don't know when it happened. I don't know where it happened. And everybody named in regard to being there said it didn't happen. I'm just being honest. Unless there's something more, no, I'm not going to ruin Judge Kavanaugh's life over this. But she should come forward. She should have her say. She will be respectfully treated. What did you expect us to do with an anonymous letter to begin with? What do you expect somebody to do with an accusation this vague, not verified in any way? Bring it forward. I will listen. But I'm not going to play a game here and tell you this will wipe out his entire life, because if nothing changes, it won't with me.
I just want to point out as a fact, and I want to move on because we're running out of time, that there is no statute of limitations on sex assault cases in Maryland. So there are weaknesses with the case, obviously, but she could legally bring it. I just want to turn...
Well, it would go nowhere.
Okay. I want to turn to reports that Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein was so concerned about the president in May of 2017 that he reportedly talked about wearing a wire to tape the president, polling the cabinet, about invoking the 25th Amendment.
Right.
One last question here. Should the president fire Rosenstein, and to what degree does this revelation compromise the investigation by the special counsel, Robert Mueller, whom Rosenstein appointed?
He shouldn't fire Rosenstein unless you believe Rosenstein's lying. He said he did not do the things alleged. But there's a bureaucratic coup against President Trump being discovered here. Before the election, the people in question tried to taint the election, tip it to Clinton's favor. After the election, they're trying to undermine the president. I don't know what Rosenstein did, but I know what McCabe or Page and Strzok did. They tried to destroy this president. If Rosenstein's involved, he should be fired. If he's not involved, leave him alone. But he can't make that decision. We need a special counsel to look at this, not Mr. Horowitz, the IG. Rosenstein's doing the country a great disservice by not appointing a special counsel to look at all of this.
When you say all of this, you're talking about the FBI's behavior in investigating the president. And as far as Robert Mueller's concerned,
yes.
Does that investigation go forward?
It goes forward. As far as I know, there's nothing connected to Mr. Mueller. But during the campaign, it's clearly Department of Justice, FBI was tipping the scales for Clinton. This revelation after President Trump was sworn in shows they were trying to undermine the election. There's a bureaucratic coup going on at the Department of Justice and FBI, and somebody needs to look at it.
Senator Greb, thank you. Thanks for your time. We'll follow whatever happens with the Judiciary Committee this week.
Thank you.